Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi, Maya. Good,
Hi,
thanks.
Maya. Thank you so much.
Well, it's very nice to have you returning guests. I mean, Anita, you're just like part of the show. You're not a guest anymore. You're just like part of it. So it's always good to see you again. But I mean, both of you here, Rudy and Anita, you're here because you've worked on recently on this book that came out, and that's actually a very big project in the area of mental health. And we wanted to talk about this book, and about another adjacent topic that's connected to the book, and that is the mental health conference that's coming up actually next week already, April 26th. And it is this conference is based on the book, and we'll explain a bit more about that. So let's just start with the book because that was a big project that came out recently. Both of you are two of the main co-authors of the book. So tell us a bit about this book. What is it about, and why did you decide to make this book?
Want to go first, Ruby?
Absolutely. I can show everybody the book also.
Ah, props. That's a beautiful
A
book. Now,
bit closer, a
show it
bit closer.
sideways.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Do you want to show it sideways? Or would
yes.
that scare people? Yeah.
It's a pretty big book. It's very big, and there's a reason for that. And Anita and Ruby are going to explain to us why it's that big.
Okay, you can put it down now, Ruby.
They work out.
So, in terms of why this book at the time that we did, so our two other co-authors and co-general editors of this book, which is the Canadian Anthology on Mental Health and the Law, are Justice Jill Presser of the Superior Court of Ontario, who sits in Toronto, and Dina Bonet, who is an appellate counsel at CLOG, the Crown Law Office dash criminal. And she's an expert in the law of mental disorder and criminal law. And of course, Justice Presser did a lot of work in mental health prior to her appointment to the bench. So the four of us got together, and the book came out last September of 2024. It is almost 1,200 pages. You can see it is heavy, but that just means I think that it's great value for the money. There's an awful lot of content in the book. The idea about this book was to gather subject matter experts from across the country and multidisciplinary experts. So the authors in this book, there are 70 contributing authors to 50 chapters in this book. And the idea was to expand our horizon. Our previous books were written by Ruby, and I have done quite a few books together. And it's always, herself, an academic, law professor, me from the defense side, or it's been just defense lawyers. So we wanted to expand and bring in Crown attorneys, bring in judges, bring in forensic psychiatrists and other mental health professionals. We have nurses who contribute, people with lived experience who have graduated from specialized courts like drug treatment courts. We have a perspective from family members and perspectives from victims. So all kinds of professionals in the mental health and legal fields, as well as service users. So it's multidisciplinary, truly national across Canada. And each chapter drills deeply down in some comprehensive detail into a sort of narrow topic on mental health and the law. That's information that is being generated for the first time as academic research and is also practical, that is not available anywhere else. So that if you have a special issue and you can't find anything about that problem, it's likely in this book. And it's a big departure from our previous volumes. The last book that Ruby and I did together was Law and Mental Health in Canada, Cases and Materials. There you go. And that's a standard law students' law school case book. It has very little commentary or analysis. It's just excerpts with questions and notes for law students to reflect on, and a little bit of basic introduction and explanation. So this book is a 180 from that. This is for the mental health law nerds. This is for people who really care about the clients in this area and care about the law. So that's the impetus behind the book. Ruby?
And there's so many aspects to this book that I've used myself as an academic this year. So we had 63 students in my mental health law course. And I was telling Maya earlier that these videos have been really, really helpful. But not only law students, but lawyers, judges, academics, researchers, healthcare practitioners, people with lived experience of mental health issues. I've referred this book to also colleagues in many different departments who are interested in what's happening with, for instance, what's happening with the BC Mental Health Act, what's new with the charter challenges happening in this field, what happens when somebody's involuntarily detained, for instance, and what are the issues at play. And it also goes through so many different aspects of specialized therapeutic courts. We have many different chapters around criminal law, review board law, hot button topics, coroners, inquests, administration of justice issues. We also have issues such as MAID and mental health, looking at new research areas. And it's really important also for law reform. As Anita mentioned, some of these topics, there's no research available. So I have academics contacting me, asking me, well, what's happening in the world of NCR? And how do you, about assessments and so on, or the use of AI and looking at mental health assessments and mental health apps. And I was like, have you read this book? So there's so many different aspects to this book that can be used for multi purposes and for research, for law reform, for people interested in mental health law, for newer lawyers, for senior counsel. I think you have a array of people that can really find this book very interesting. And it's also really accessible. So it's available on LexisNexis through the LexisNexis library for students, any law students that need access to that or academics. But it's also available with a 20% discount right now. And that's really important to know, but you can also have it online or you can have it in print. But it's written in an accessible way using an intersectional approach. So we also recognize how Indigenous and racialized populations are extremely vulnerable when interacting with any aspect of mental health loss.
Well, and the interesting thing is that there are so many authors, so you have different styles. It's not the same style from beginning to end. I find sometimes with books, when it's only one or two authors, if you don't like their style, you're kind of stuck with that, and that could be a problem sometimes. So you have different styles, different topics. So even if, let's say, there's one topic in that book that is not of interest, there are so many other topics that for sure, if you practice in the area of mental health law, you're going to find something that is going to be relevant to what you're looking for. So in that sense, it is very comprehensive and it addresses many issues and many aspects in a very versatile way. That's why it's very unique and different. But I do want to get back to the idea that it's a big book. And yes, it's so, I mean, WiCCD, we offer many things for free. Everything we do is for free. This book is not for free. You have to get it through LexisNexis. But as Ruby was saying, that there is a discount right now. So I would encourage everyone to take advantage of it. And you can also, if you want to buy the print one, you don't want to buy online, there is a place where you can get it. And that would be next week, actually, at the mental health conference, because that conference is organized with this book as the topic of the conference, or it was like the guide for, or the guiding light to create that conference. So we're going to get a bit more into that. But just to finish on the book, because it is an important book, I think when we were chatting, Ruby, you mentioned that there was a student version of it, right? As well, that's available.
Yes, and the student version is online. And for some law students, if they do have access, they can also contact the librarian to ask if they have access to the LexisNexis kind of online database of where the book is also available. But also law libraries should have it in print if the students are interested in a reserved copy too.
So the student e-version of the book is significantly cheaper. You have to be a student to access the online ebook, but it's significantly cheaper than the physical book. So for students, law students who can prove their law student status, I think the student e-line version is about $140. The print volume is about $200, I think. The discount code that LexisNexis provides in conjunction with this conference to celebrate the book in the conference, and they are a sponsor to the conference, so they'll be there with us with physical copies of the book, which is generous of them. The discount code is WiCCD20, so it's WiCCD 20, and that amounts to a $40 discount on the book, which is pretty substantial. So we know that practitioners who represent clients with mental health issues don't have a huge budget for a law library. And I think one reason for this conference is also to let people know about the book, because from the academic side, as Ruby has said, academia already has an awareness of this book. Academics know what new books are coming out about what topics, and it's already being used in at least 6 or 7 law school classes as the required text. I know it's a required text of the U of T Law School where I taught. Ruby and I used it at the Osgood graduate course. She uses it, of course, for her class. So academics are seeing its value as a teaching tool to law students who can look at some of these topics and build upon them, use them as research tools. But like Ruby says, when I get an inquiry, every day I get inquiries saying, Anita, I have a difficult, interesting case. It involves someone with a mental health issue. This is the particular presenting problem. What, do you have any resources? What can you say to me to help me and guide me? And I say, funny you should say that. There's a chapter exactly on that in our latest book, and that happens almost every time. So with this conference, what will happen on Saturday, April 26th, is, the book has a lot of civil mental health law in it, but half the book is devoted to criminal law and mental disorder. And this conference is about the criminal law and mental disorder. And we wanted to go beyond the basic fare of fitness and NCR. And we do, we talk about fitness and we talk about NCR. But at the conference, as in the book, we're going to look at mental health courts, therapeutic courts, specialty courts, drug treatment courts. We're going to look at specific sections of the NCR test. What does it mean to know that something is morally wrong? We're going to look at mental health and sentencing, which is a very important topic that's going up to the Supreme Court of Canada for the first time. We're going to look at review board law. We're going to look at anti-Black discrimination in front of tribunals that deal with individuals with mental health issues. So we're going to look at a lot of intersection of race and mental health, because there is an overrepresentation of Black people in the forensic psychiatric system. And it also, anti-Black racism and anti-Indigenous sentiments are also sort of woven through psychiatry. So we examine all that in the book. We'll be addressing that at the conference. So basically, the conference is built around the topics and chapters of the book, and the book provides a very important resource and tool for 2 things: to answer any specific sort of weird little question that comes up in your practice. You can go find that thing in the book. It's almost guaranteed to be there. Or if you really are a mental health nerd, you can literally sit and read it cover to cover over, I guess, the next year or two, or however long it's going to take you to read it. Put your feet up by the fire. That actually makes very good reading. A lot of the chapters are, very interesting topics, and it's all super well written and solidly researched. So I wish when I was a younger lawyer that something like this existed, and I can tell you there is nothing else like it. It is. I am so proud of it, and it's not even my role. I'm so proud about, although that too. But I'm incredibly proud of the contributing authors who gave us their time and wisdom, because it is just a fantastic volume, so richly written and researched, and I think very important as a practical resource and tool for practitioners, be they crowns or defense, and for the judiciary. We have a lot of judges who very generously donated their time and efforts and contributed important chapters to this book. Justice Sawson from the Court of Appeal co-wrote a chapter with Professor Ben Berger on the importance of mental health and the law in law school curriculums. And that's something we don't talk about enough, how important it is to weave it into all of the law school courses, for example.
And obviously, like it's as both of you were saying, it's not just for students or just for practitioners, it's an all levels type of book. So anyone will find an answer to a question or an issue that comes up during their work, their research, or their practice. So it is really very versatile, if we want to say, in that sense that it really, like the audience is a pretty wide audience. And it's not just for lawyers, it's also for academics, for people in the medical field. And that is also reflected by the people who contributed. They're not all just from the legal profession, they're from different types of disciplines. So that's why it's also a very different and unique book in that sense. And for those of the viewers who will be watching this episode and who are hesitating, not sure if they want to spend money on that book, the conference is really the right thing to do. If you're hesitating or you're not too sure, then what I suggest is you can attend the conference. The conference is free. It's a full day free conference. You can attend in person or online. It is sold out, but like you can still, we have a waiting list. We have a pretty big waiting list, so you can if you still haven't registered, I strongly recommend that people register because this conference will allow you to know if you find like the topics that are being discussed in the conference interesting and that they're useful, then very likely the book is going to be useful to you. And you will be able to buy the book at the conference. Right, Anita? I mean,
Yeah,
that was my understanding. So,
you can buy the physical book at the conference. There'll be other books on mental health and the law for sale
Mhm.
at the conference as well, and other topics. You can buy the physical book, use the code there. You can also buy the book online um, with that discount code until April 30. In terms of the conference, we only have the availability of a wait list for online now. I think in person we're pretty much sold out. But if you go to our link tree, you'll see a registration link, and you can sign up for online access to our wait list. And we hope to be able to let others in. More than 500 people have registered, and I think that also at the conference, if you're there in person, we have 500 plus people. And again, the conference attendees also reflect the diversity of our contributing authors to this book. They are also judges, crowns, defense, forensic psychiatrists, service users, people with lived experience, victims, mental health professionals, social workers. In the book, I should say, some of the most moving and compelling chapters in our book are the chapters written from the direct lived experience of lawyers living with mental health issues with a psychiatric history, or people who've come through the specialized court system, or for example, the story of a mom who's was a victim. Her child was killed of an NCR person's actions, who's also a psychologist and talks about her perspective on the NCR system as a victim, a family member, and a trained mental health professional. Some of these chapters give you insight. They may not go to the heart of a particular legal issue. Some of the chapters focus on a very narrow interpretation of a couple of words in the criminal code. That's the kind of stuff lawyers get excited about. But none of that means anything unless you're also learning about the experiences of the clients and the people you represent, the people involved in the controversy, the impact of some of these, acts on victims, on how people experience the mental health and specialized courts we send them to when we make orders for diversion and so on. And I think in the whole book, if you read it, you get a flavor and a sense of things. And one last thing, it also touches on topics that there is almost nothing written about in legal publishing, such as coroner's inquests, where we look at why Black people are shot and killed by police in these disproportionate numbers. And Rick Frank and his colleague wrote, I think an absolutely spectacular chapter. And there's an introductory chapter on how inquests work and, what is your role at an inquest? And I don't think you can find that too many other places. Sorry, Ruby.
also aspects of systemic inequities, as Anita's mentioned, like where kind of some of these laws originated and balancing issues of autonomy and recognizing charter protected liberties. We also kind of go into issues that older adults experience when dealing with capacity issues. So Anita and I wrote a chapter about the Adult Guardianship Act here in BC. And some of the mentioning like and highlighting research that recognizes the regional differences is also, as Anita mentioned, like it's very much sometimes inaccessible. So hearing the perspectives of lawyers who've worked in Alberta for years and years, and then comparing Alberta to Ontario, for instance, and BC to Ontario's Mental Health Act is such a unique piece of research, and it's very challenging to kind of be able to conduct that. And so to have multidisciplinary researchers and experts who are able to contribute to this has been phenomenal. I mean, Anita's been our fearless leader, and for her, and she's supported us so much. And there's 70 extraordinary authors who've contributed to this book. So it was such a team effort, and we're so proud of everybody. It's incredible. It's really a life-changing book.
I have to say, Ruby, I'm thinking about you right now because outside in my backyard is a bunny. A bunny has just shown up in my backyard. When Ruby says she and I wrote this chapter on BC's adult guardianship, that's very generous and loosely based. I think Ruby wrote a very nice chapter on adult guardianship that I edited with her, so it was kind of her to include me in that chapter. But it is true, for example, Alberta right now is introducing the forced involuntary detention and forced treatment for people who use drugs. That's a new bill on the table. And if you don't understand Alberta's existing Mental Health Act and its history, which Sarah Rankin and Mary Marshall cover in the book, you won't be able to advocate around this new bill that is threatening to rob people who use drugs for no reason other than they're using drugs. This new bill, the Compassionate Intervention Act, proposes to anyone can go in front of a JP, a police officer, a family, anybody, get an order, scoop them up, throw them into 3 months of secure custody and enforce abstinence because they were known to use drugs at any time. And that is a ridiculously non-charter compliant coercive piece of legislation. But in order to even think about challenging it or think about it, you have to understand the current Mental Health Act that provides for involuntary detention. And there is a very current chapter by, as I say, Sarah and Mary on Alberta's Mental Health Act and its transformation over the years. So really every day something happens where we were able to say, you know what I think will help is this chapter in our book.
And this is obviously just one of the things that are being discussed. Like this book, as we just mentioned, it's a pretty big book, and it covers a wide variety of subjects related to mental health and mental disorders, and both the criminal and civil side. And for criminal lawyers, because I know criminal lawyers tend to say, well, if there's civil, I don't care about civil. Well, you never know how both areas can intersect. So it is important to have everything together in one book instead of right away going and calling someone in civil law who does or deals with this. You can just find a quick answer in the book. So that's very useful.
And for criminal lawyers who say, well, I don't know anything about the civil stuff, you're doing your client a bit of a disservice because you can divert people away from criminal justice if you understand how the Civil Mental Health Act might help, whether employing a community treatment order and keeping your client in the community, or allowing for a voluntary hospitalization or some kind of treatment plan, or even an involuntary civil admission is sometimes preferable, often preferable for a client to a forensic path forward. So if you're a criminal lawyer and all you can think is, well, I have a client who's mentally unwell, so they're unfit or they're NCR, and I don't know anything about how the civil stream might be of assistance, it's a bit of a disservice to the client. So I think it's helpful to have that additional knowledge. And ultimately, what I say about this is it's the same client population. Whether they end up charged criminally or not is often happenstance. It's often if the frontline officer has the time to take them to the hospital emergency room and sit there with them till they take custody, they'll do that. If not, they'll criminally charge them, take them down to the cop shop, keep them overnight in a cell. So it's the same client population presenting with the same histories and the same problems. And it helps to know on all sides of the equation what their rights are and how to advocate for them and their autonomy rights or assistance for them. Uh, Last thing, there's a huge chapter on habeas corpus in this book. Habeas corpus is something that there is almost nothing
Mhm.
on where it relates to mental health. Habeas corpus is an underutilized remedy. And it's because people don't understand it. They think they just want to go to court and go habeas corpus. Like, I know what that means. Produce the body. You have the body. Give it to me. And it's like, yeah, it's a complex area of law. And in our book, Professor Sheila Waldman has written, a spectacular, if long, chapter on how you can use habeas corpus in mental health and mental disorder matters. You will not find that anywhere else, and it's an incredibly useful roadmap. And people often want to do it, but they have no idea how to do it, and there's nowhere else that tells them how the law applies, what you have to do, and where we're at. So there's just a ton of useful stuff. It is really big, but the good news is soon we'll have another really big one.
It reminds me a bit of like the old encyclopedias. Remember, like there used to be
Yeah,
encyclopedias where you would find a little bit of everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we don't have this anymore because we replaced this with Google, I guess, these days. But I mean, Google is not necessarily an expert and doesn't really practice in anything. So I think like this is more accurate than a Google search, and it's a good way to start, even if you don't find all of the answers. I'm sure you can find some of the answers of what you're looking for in this book. And again, the conference that's happening next week, April 26th, is a very good way for you to assess whether or not you really want to invest in this book. I mean, I think you should. Anyone who practices in criminal and who has even one case of a mental disorder case, it should, like this will be very helpful. And the conference will allow you to see and get a bit of a sense of what this book is about. And it's a good way, and you will have the opportunity to buy it there. In person, if you attend the conference in person. And the discount is available both online and in person, right, Anita? Like for even for
No,
those
yeah,
who attend virtually, because a lot of people will be
yeah,
attending virtually. So you will still have that discount until April 30th, right?
absolutely. Funny you say that about encyclopedias. Ruby and I are co-authors with my former law partner, Darcy Hiltz, on a volume of the Halsberries, which is a legal encyclopedia series. And Ruby and I do the mental health law part of that Halsberries, and we're bound together with mining, minerals, and motorcycles. So that's the encyclopedia. So if you want to know about mining, minerals, motorcycles, or mental health, you can buy that volume of the Halsberries. You get all this extra stuff. That's probably That's really for libraries.
All right. So, I mean, I think we covered here pretty much everything that people need to know about the book and about the conference. Again, the conference is free. So, anyone who's watching, who's not already registered, this is a free conference. It's a full day conference. It's offered by WiCCD and LAMDA. It's a mental health conference. So, for those who practice in mental health, LAMDA is an association that you should join as well. It's a sister association of WiCCD, and there are many projects that work together. So if you're not a member of WiCCD, you can join LAMDA or vice versa. So please attend the conference. I'm super excited to be there. I'm always happy to go to Toronto and to see all my colleagues there. So I'm very happy. Ruby sadly is not going to be able to join us in person, but I know she'll be attending virtually. But Anita, you will be there, obviously, because you're one of the main organizers of the conference. So it will be a very interesting and fun day to see everyone. Many of our WiCCD members are going to be there. Many LAMDA members are going to be there as well. And we're going to have a stand from LexisNexis and Emond. So for those who want to buy this book or other books, you can also do that. And we do have some discounts for some of the books, especially this one that we're promoting today. So any last words, whether it's about the conference, the book, or work in general?
thank you, Maya, for giving us the opportunity to talk about the book. We're very excited about the book. And of course, you also contributed a chapter in the book. We're proud of the work that's gone into this book. And it's really hard to just go around and talk about, look, I made a book and I'd like to talk a half hour about it. But believe me, it's just so people understand and appreciate what's out there. And the feedback we've had has been so positive from academia, from law students, and from practitioners that we just wanted to share that it's there. And we hope that you like it. And if you have feedback about it, we want to hear it. We love to hear it. If it's good feedback, we want to hear it soon. If it's bad feedback, you can hold on a little bit while we're still happy about the book, but we still will hear it. Um, and that's it. And we look forward to the conference. We hope to see everyone there. Ruby will be online, but the rest of us will be there in person. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Maya, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. So thank you for the opportunity to come back on the show today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And this will, I mean, I'm sure we'll have many more interviews with both of you. So, I mean, it will be very nice to see you again. And Anita, I'll see you next week. And Ruby, I'll see you soon again, hopefully in person as well. You were there in person. Actually, we'll have to mention we did have a party to promote, to launch the
Yeah.
book. So Ruby was there in person, but hopefully we'll see you in person on another occasion soon.
Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you so much to WiCCD. And thank you, Anita, for being our fearless leader. Thank you.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Night.